Need ideas. Ranking? Nah. Sequel pitch? Nope, got no inspiration. A theory? Now all the good ones are taken. Back to the Future. So apparently you guys love my Back to the Future videos, so that is what I'm delivering on. So everyone remembers the end of Back to the Future, right? It's a real iconic scene, real on the edge of your seat kind of stuff. Well, what if I told you that wasn't the original ending to Back to the Future? You intrigued? No? Not yet? Yeah, fair enough. As a lot of people know, Back to the Future is famous for having a lot of, let's just say, problems on set. If that comes to difficult actors, replacing actors, arguments with the studio, just stuff you don't really want to have to deal with when making a movie. All of that is never good, but the ending to Back to the Future that we all know of today and is so iconic, the original ending looked very different from the one that we know. And when I say that, it nearly ruined the whole movie. So today I thought it'd be fun to show you the original ending to Back to the Future and just how insane it really is. Oh, no, roll the intro. No, that's good. So back in 1980, when the first draft of Back to the Future was written, it was very different from the final product. The main story was still the same. The general idea was that it's a kid that goes back in time and meets his parents when they're the same age as him. That never changed, but a lot of things did. When Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale were sorting out all of the details for the movie, the name that they had given the movie at the time was Professor Brown Visits the Future. Really rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Imagine if they actually stuck with that title. No one would take this movie seriously. Oh yeah, so what are your favourite movies? Oh, you know, you got your classics, Star Wars, Avengers, Professor Brown Visits the Future. Oh. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. There are a lot of things that had to be changed before the final draft was completed. Originally, Marty and Doc would have a side business where they would sell pirated movies. Einstein, the dog, was originally a monkey. The iconic DeLorean time machine was originally a refrigerator. Things like that would change draft by draft when the studio finally picked up the movie. But the biggest thing that had to be changed was, of course, the ending. As the movie was in pre-production and they were casting, location scouting, and gearing up ready to go, there was one big scene that they had to change. Originally, Back to the Future only had a budget of $12 million, and there was no way that they could shoot the ending on that budget. So what was the original ending, I hear you ask? You're not asking? Oh, because otherwise I picked the best day to film this video. It is so hot outside and it feels even hotter in here. Anyway, all we really have to go off is storyboards that were made for the film. So I'm going to try my best to retell the ending as best as possible. So the ending of Back to the Future that we all know of is set in Hill Valley, and Marty drives the DeLorean down the road at 88 miles an hour, so Doc can harness the electricity from the lightning bolt into the flux capacitor to send Marty back to the future. The original ending to Back to the Future has the same setup. Marty tries to warn Doc about what happens to him in the future. Things go wrong, they only have one shot to get him back to the future, except there's one small difference, and it's instead of the scene taking place at the clock tower, it instead takes place at an atomic bomb site. No, really. The lightning bolt isn't in this version. Instead, the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity comes from the nuclear blast. The point of the experiment was to see the effects an atomic bomb would have on a suburban American town. Marty drives the DeLorean directly towards the tower where the bomb was going to be dropped from. The staff who are in charge of the experiment are wondering what is going on. In a panic, they drop the bomb as Marty is speeding towards it. As soon as it drops, Marty hits 88 miles an hour, and in a huge blast, he is sent back to the future. I don't know about you, but that felt good. So obviously, this is not the scene that we got, and I think it would have changed the course of the movie quite a bit if they had kept it in. So as I mentioned before, Back to the Future had a budget of about $12 million, and this scene alone would have cost about $6 million to produce. And considering that the studio was already taking a big risk on this movie altogether, there was no way that they were going to take a chance on it to shoot the ending. However, there's a bit of a twist to this video, because while this was the climax that they were going to go with if it went for money problems, it's not the original ending that they wrote up back in 1980. That is a whole other story. It had the same premise as it was set at the atomic bomb site, however, the DeLorean wasn't the time machine, and instead the time machine was just a pile of junk that was attached to the flux capacitor, and it ran off plutonium. But there was something else that was needed to power the time machine, a secret formula to power one of the greatest inventions of all time. Coca-Cola. Coke, that's what they were going with. Wow, wow. So many people auditioned for Marty McFly, now whom are actually famous actors. One of those was John Cryer, who said when he read for Marty, the DeLorean, which, sorry, wasn't a DeLorean, it was a pile of rubbish, ran off Coca-Cola. What? At the beginning of the movie, when Marty's hanging out at Doc's garage, he accidentally stumbles across the time machine and pours Coke into the funnel, and apparently that was the one thing that was needed to power one of the greatest inventions of all time. Because Coke's recipe is pretty secret, it was the one thing that was needed to work with the plutonium to power the time machine. I'm sorry, but... what? One of the greatest films of all time could have had some of the most shameful product placement a film could have. So as I was saying, the original ending to Back to the Future was a bit strange, and the real heroes of the movie were Coca-Cola and a 1950s fridge. That probably made no sense, but trust me, it will in a sec. Now I could sit here and talk through the ending like before, but that's no fun. What if I just recreate the ending by myself? No, really. Obviously, I don't have a $1 million budget for this video, but I'm going to see if I can try and work with the information that I have to try and recreate what the scene would have looked like as best as possible. Again, I don't really have a lot to work with because, like, there's been different versions of the script that have been leaked over time, but it's not a lot to go off. So all I need to do now is just get into character. Nice. Alright, let's get into it. Right, Doc, I'm here.
Fantastic, Marty. According to my calculations, the atomic bomb should be going off in precisely 1 minute and 52 seconds.
Oh jeez, Doc, do you really think this is going to work?
While we couldn't get our hands on any plutonium in 1951, the nuclear explosion should be just enough to send you back to the future.
Doc, I think it's time. Oh jeez, I do love the taste of classic Coca-Cola.
Yes, Marty, and Coca-Cola is the perfect refreshing beverage.
Oh, this is heavy. Doc, I'm out of Coke.
Great Scott! Without the Coke, there's no way you'll be able to go back to the future. I got it. Go into one of the houses around the atomic bomb site. You should find a Coca-Cola in one of the fridges.
Doc, the houses aren't real.
I know, but every 1950s respectable family has a Coca-Cola in their fridge.
You're right.
Yes!
Then Marty connects the flux capacitor to the working 1950s fridge and then pours a Coke into it. He then survives a huge nuclear blast and is sent back to the future. I mean, I just don't think you can pull all of that off for $12 million. I mean, it's insane. Coke powering a time machine, a nuclear explosion. We can't afford any of that. Actually, it's super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Really? No, I just wanted to say that. Look, you're gonna have to come up with something else, okay? Because in 1981, we just don't have the technology to pull that off. Weird for you to specify the year, but yeah, sure, I can think of something else. I'll see myself out. Wait, I'll hang on to that draft. Really? I mean, maybe in 2 decades' time we can use it for a completely different franchise in which the movie ultimately fails. Sounds good to me.
Minus 15 seconds. 4, 1, 0.
Yeah, I think they made the right choice. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this and like this video. I had a lot of fun making the Back to the Future ending, although I have to get changed out of this because it is extremely hot in here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next Friday.